and those who must worship him in spirit and in truth. Lord, I worship you. Lord, I worship you. Lord, I worship you. Lord, I worship you. Hey, come on, mama. Sebi komandi amarada keko radia tamana. Elibana ma shadaba rada kapana. Lord, I worship you. 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 Ela badara bossa bele ini bele komiana samiana la 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 eli bele semre to mariana eli bele sabi kemunia mana eli bele samiana konala eli bele komile sabini mego. Lord, I worship you. 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 Hey, Lord, I worship you. Lord, I worship you in spirit and in truth. Lord, I worship you. Lord, I worship you. Lord, I worship you.
So yeah, hello. This is day 17. Oh my god, I cannot believe it. I cannot believe that it is the 17th day of going through the devotions with all of you. Oh my days, I am so excited, and anyway, I'm like, oh my god, I can't really wait for this thing to be over, because consistency. But yeah, I think about it as like character development. Say I'll be somewhere by 12:30, and then I'm there by 12:30. Cool, easy. So let's go right into today's devotion. Today's devotion is titled "Try Not to Lose Focus." Try not to lose focus. As always, I will encourage you to make sure that you focus on the anchor scripture. The anchor scripture that we use for the devotional every single day of the devotional is Ezekiel 36:26. And God speaking there says, I will give you a new heart, and I'll put a new spirit in you. I will take out your stony, stubborn heart and give you a tender, responsive heart. Remember that the core of this devotion is for you to be able to respond to God's love for you. It's 31 days. You have the whole of your lifetime, but these 31 days are like a very special window. Special window for you to respond to God's love. So Esther, we're looking at Esther chapter 6, verses 4 to the end, I believe. 4 to 14. That's how far we are going. So it's a very, very interesting. This is a very, very interesting read, right? Extremely interesting read. So if you've not been reading the book, the devotions, I've not been reading the Bible, you need to go back and go and read. And the advice I gave was, read Esther first, just read it generally. Then now start reading according to the partitions of the devotional, and you'll be so surprised at what God will do for you. So try not to lose focus, very important. So let's get back into the story. Haman has threatened, life, death and brimstone on the Jews. It's like, I'm going to kill all of you because of what Mordecai did. Mordecai goes to Esther and says, look, we're about to die, you need to do something. Esther goes to the king and he declares a fast and says, you guys are trying to get me killed because I can't go to the king if I'm not summoned, but I will go. But make sure you're fasting, I'll also fast. So she goes, the king holds out his scepter to her and says, what do you want? Even if it's a third of my kingdom, I'll give it to you. Esther says, oh, that's fine. Just come to a banquet I'm going to have for 3 days and make sure you come with Haman. As that is happening, Haman goes to his house. Haman goes to I just lost my train of thought for a bit. So Haman goes to his house and his wife. He gathers his family members and starts boasting and says, you guys know how hot I am. You guys know how awesome I am. But this Mordecai dude at the gate that is a Jew is not going to do this and that. A friend says, look, you need to show him who you are. Go and tell the king that you want to set up a pole that upon which Haman will be impaled. As Haman is going back to go and do the work of evil, the king is unable. So the night where everything is happening, the night before Haman will come to the palace, the king says, I can't sleep. Go and get me the records. Let's see what we've done. And he says, oh, this dude called Mordecai saved my life. Did we do anything to him? You would have seen that in one of the earlier devotions. You had spoken about that. And she says, okay, what should we do to this guy? We didn't do anything to him. As he's speaking, Haman comes to come and tell the king that I want to kill Mordecai. Mordecai is not respecting me. But the king asks a question and says, what do I do to a man that I'm pleased with? And Haman thinks, oh, who else does the king want to honor apart from me? And says, oh, this is what you should do. Let him wear your royal robes. Let's go around the town saying this is what the king does for a man that, the king says, oh, that's a very brilliant idea, but you're going to do it to Mordecai. And so that's the context of the story that we're in now. If you read the end, if you read maybe like verses 13 and 14 of that, the Bible records that Haman had to bow his head in grief. So if you read 12, it says, when Mordecai returned to the king's gates, afterwards, so let's start from 11. It says, so Haman got the robe and the horse. He robed Mordecai and led him on the horseback through the city streets, proclaiming before him, this is what is done for the man the king delights to honor. Remember that in one of the devotions we were talking about the boomerang, and I was saying that you have to be very careful who you decide you want to deal with, because you may be fighting the wrong battle. You may be fighting with somebody that you shouldn't be fighting with. That's why you should leave God to fight. Just imagine, person that I wanted to pull on a pill, he had to go round town, like the embarrassment. So after Mordecai returned to the king's gate, but Haman rushed home with his head covered in grief and told Zeresh, his wife, and all his friends everything that had happened to him. His advisors and his wife Zeresh said to him, since Mordecai, before whom your downfall has started, is of Jewish origin, you cannot stand before him. You will surely come to reign. While they were still talking to him, the king's eunuch arrived and hurried Haman away to the banquet Esther had prepared. So you see where we are. So that's where we are. So now let's look at the devotion for today. It says, try not to lose focus. Let's talk about losing focus. Let's talk about not losing focus. It's important not to get derailed because it could make all the difference. A partial execution of a plan may sometimes be more dangerous than a non-execution of that plan. Haman came to see the king because he wanted his approval to impale Mordecai on the pole that Haman had prepared for Mordecai. However, Haman soon lost focus as he heard that the king was planning to honor a man that pleases him. He turned his focus on the proposal to honor a man pleasing the king and forgot what brought him to the palace in the first place. The two events are not mutually exclusive. If he had not lost focus, he would have made his request and the king would likely have turned down the same because Mordecai saved his life. If that discussion had been had between king and Haman, the discussion at the banquet that Queen Esther was planning would have turned out differently. I think so. Because remember that Queen Esther was having the banquet and Haman was there because she wanted to say, this person is trying to kill your queen that you love so much. By the time he was done honoring Mordecai, he lost any desire. So if you read the 14 that we just read, it says, you can't prevail against Mordecai, because your downfall, especially if you're plotting against, you had to go around and announcing him. So he was devastated at being humiliated that the decree for the extermination of the Jews was forgotten. He hurried home, dejected and completely humiliated. His wife then told him that you will never succeed in your plans against him. It will be fatal to continue to oppose him. Haman was completely cured of his hatred for the Jews after receiving the wise counsel from his wife in that regard. It is, however, too late at the time. Everything had been set in motion and he had been invited to dine with the king. Don't lose focus. It's extremely important. Don't lose focus. As somebody in business, as a young professional in business, as a young professional in your career, don't have half executed plans all over the place. I don't know whether you've ever seen this meme of children, a child and an apple, maybe like maybe a basket of apples, and the child samples everything but doesn't end up eating everything. That can be dangerous. You need to be able to fully execute your plans from the beginning to the end because you don't know what that plan that you feel to execute may affect. You don't know what has been set in motion, that you need to fully execute your plan so that you won't get caught in it. So keep distractions as much as you can. Try to complete tasks you've started. Even when new tasks pop along the line, do not lose sight of why you're in it. Very important. If you say something because there's a reason, then even if you have to stop, you need to keep that reason in sight. So keep the earlier tasks in view. As you can see from Haman's circumstances, that distraction would eventually cost him his life. I don't want to give you spoilers, but you see what I mean. So thank God for your mind and your sanity. So we're going to pray now. So thank God for your mind and sanity. Sometimes the inability to concentrate or focus may be a symptom of some disorders. So yes, there are some mental illnesses that one of their symptoms, that this person is having mental illness because they can't concentrate. They can't, they are not sane enough to focus on one thing or the other. So thank God for your mind and your sanity. If you're able to concentrate, you're able to start something and finish to the end. If you don't get easily distracted by things, then thank God for that, right? Thank God. And if you're like maybe in a situation where you know that you have some mental health diagnostics, then thank God for treatment. Thank God for like a health system that you're born in a time where that people that used to have mental health illnesses, they laugh at you. They're like, oh, it's not that serious, you're just distracted, or the treatments were not as sophisticated as we have now. So thank God that you're getting treatment as well. So thank God for plans that you're able to execute without interference. That's very important. As early as you're in business, just look at all the disruptions that happened to business owners in the past year. Dollar, naira scarcity, all those things, and you're just probably thinking, oh my God, I have a goal, I need to do this, and then Nigeria happens to you. You need to go back and recalibrate. So thank God if all those things happen and you were able to execute your plans without interference, it's something to thank God for. Then ask God for grace to complete tasks and fully execute plans at work or in business. Extremely important. Ask God for grace to complete tasks and fully execute plans at work or in business. Then pray that God in His mercy will not allow you to conceive of any plan that will be detrimental to your life and your career and business. Extremely important. Because if his friends hadn't advised them wrongly, just trying to feel smart, trying to play smart on people, trying to manipulate people, trying to show people pepe. And that's how he landed in this trouble. So ask God that in His mercy, don't anything that will put me in trouble, please. Any plan, any machinations, any whatever that will be detrimental to my life, that will be detrimental to my career, please count me out of it. So meditate on the anchor verse. Your ability to focus will improve with a new spirit. Yeah. If you have a new heart and a new spirit, you'll be able to focus better. And think about some of the plans you've been unable to complete due to one distraction or the other. It could be like a course that you haven't completed. It could be like maybe something you want to do for your team or for your work or for your business. Maybe some new some new bookkeeping or something, a new app you want to try out for your business, or a new certification you want to do for your business. So pick one of them and prayerfully map out a plan to complete it. That's the task for today. So that's what you should do. What are those half-eaten apples that you have? Make sure you take one of them and finish eating them. So that's really the end of today's devotional. So tomorrow, day 18, we're talking about the dangers of assumption. So see you tomorrow, by the grace of God, 12:30 p.m. God willing. But remember that don't lose focus. Distraction could be very costly. Okay. So see you tomorrow. Make sure you get a copy of the devotional if you haven't gotten it. You can also get for your friends and families. If you have anybody that is any young professional and you see that, oh, I've actually learned a lot from this thing, this person can also learn a lot, make sure you share with them. Until I come your way tomorrow by 12:30, remember to be salt and light everywhere you go. Bye.